Welcome to the Raising Empowered Kids interview series. Today, I'd like to introduce Christian Mickelsen. He is a four-time winner of the Inc. 5000's fastest growing companies in America, 4 years in a row. He is a two-time #1 best-selling author of Get Clients Today and Abundance Unleashed. He has over 18 years of professional coaching experience. He is a leading authority on business coaching and is one of the highest paid business coaches in the world, appearing in Forbes, Yahoo Finance, and MSN. He's taught hundreds of thousands of coaches around the world how to get clients and build successful businesses. Christian currently lives in San Diego, California, with his wife and 3 daughters. Welcome, Christian. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm really happy to have you join us.
My pleasure.
So I know that you currently have a very successful coaching business, and it wasn't always that way. I know that you come from a humble background. Could you tell us a little bit about how your mindset has changed, like from when you were raised to where you are now, and like the difference that has made for you, and whether or not you think that, the mindset you had growing up as a child has impacted, like the length of time it took you to become a successful business owner.
Yeah. So there's so much there that I want to jump into. I grew up on welfare and, food stamps, special lunch programs, hand-me-down clothes from my brothers who are a decade older than I am. And now grateful to have a business that, multi-million-dollar business. Went from welfare to becoming a multi-millionaire. And so the hardest part actually was overcoming and letting go of the mindsets, that I learned, that wherever you learn, from my parents, from, my family, from society, even a lot of the way that people think about money, and a lot of the ways that I used to think about money have shifted dramatically. So I'll give you, a couple things. One is, because it seemed like my parents were fighting about money, and I just felt like, we were having money troubles. I just felt, man, what, if I could be rich, if I could win the lottery, that would solve all my problems, solve my family's problems, maybe my parents wouldn't have never gotten divorced if we had money. And now having a lot of money, money is very great. I love having money. Thank God I'm rich, right? That's something that I say now. It's like a wealth mantra that I have, is thank God I'm rich, just reinforce it. And I remember a few years ago when I first took that on, it felt a little awkward to think of myself as rich or call myself rich, even when I was making money. But now I take that on. Yeah, I'm rich, and I think it's something, the funny thing is now I look back on when I was quote unquote poor and realize that I was even rich back then. Because being rich, even though sometimes maybe the electricity got turned off or the water got turned off or whatever, like most people 500 years ago didn't even have running water or, heat or air conditioning or light and electricity. Like all those things didn't exist. And we take them for granted. And mostly why I felt poor was just because of the fights my parents had about money, and then comparing myself to other kids, other families. Mm-hmm. That's why I felt like I was poor. But in reality, and I felt ashamed for being poor. I felt like something was wrong with me, and like people wouldn't like me because I was poor. I got teased for my clothes and my glasses that were broken and were fixed with tape and all that stuff. And I thought, oh, people are teasing me because I'm poor. And really now I know, like, kids just tease kids. Will find any reason to tease kids, If you're a white kid in a black neighborhood, you're gonna get teased for being white. If you're black in a white neighborhood, you'll probably get teased for being black. If you're, you have a funny sounding last name, you're gonna get teased for that. Like, kids tease kids. That's all there is to it. They're looking for some reason. And if I'm wearing bell bottoms when everyone else is wearing parachute pants, back in the 80s, people teased me for that, right? So But I took it personally and I made it mean that, oh, it's because I'm poor that they don't like me. And then of course, seeing kids, with nice things, or, I remember somebody in my class getting these fruity smelling markers, and it's like, oh, if I, other kids were like, oh my God, let me borrow those? I'll be your best friend. It's like, oh, people want to be your friend if you have cool new things. Like, and I just saw him as being a rich kid. Like, oh, being rich means people like you. Being poor means people don't. So I made up all these things, and I'm, not because I don't know why I made up these meanings, and it's not necessarily even my parents' fault. Like, a lot of my lack of abundance, some of it maybe I got from my parents, some of it was just decisions I made from who knows why, And I remember years ago, like, you want to be great parents for your kids, and it's impossible for your kids it's impossible not to screw up your kids. So that's something I think we all need to let go of. Like, there's no perfect parents. It's impossible to not screw up your kids, because years ago I was swimming with my daughters. At the time I only had 2, now I have 3 daughters. And we were swimming, and we were Zoe and Nala. Nala's my older one, Zoe's my middle one. And we were in this awesome cuddle. It was like, oh, it was such a great cuddle. And then Nala swam away. I was like, Nala, come back in this great cuddle we had going on, And she was swimming away. And then I was like, all right, well, at least I still have my Zoe. And I was like, I want to get my cuddle in with Zoe. And then Zoe swam away. And she's like, no, you don't have your Zoe. You don't have your Zoe. And she and I could feel like she made a decision that, oh, Daddy loves Nala more because she's leaving than if she stays. And because I'm staying, I'm not getting as much attention as Nala is for leaving. So I'm going to leave too. And so I noticed that decision be made. And honestly, it's been a pattern she still has to this day. I'm looking for, she's only 5, so, give her a break. But hopefully someday she'll, I'll help her break through that if if she's open to it. But I screwed her up, just I didn't screw, we're people, human beings, we're going to make decisions and make meanings of all kinds of crazy stuff that has it's not my parents' fault that I felt like I was poor. It's not, it's just, that's what happened. Right. So, but I did grow up with less money, way less money back then than I have in my life now. It's probably one of the things that drove me to want to be successful financially, because I felt like it could solve all of our problems. Right. But now I realize that in having a lot of money, there's still problems, right? You can have all the money in the world and you can still have problems with your kids. You can still have problems with your wife. You can still have problems with coworkers. You have problems health problems, right?
Right.
So money doesn't solve all problems. Still great to have money. I love having abundance, financial abundance. I'm so grateful for all the money I have. I'm grateful for all the money, flowing into my life in ever increasing amounts day after day. So I'm super grateful for that. So going back to being a kid and thinking the way I thought of being poor, me, my parents fighting, and they were fighting about money. Well, money may have been a topic of the argument, but the solution wouldn't have been to have money. Then they would have probably fought about other things. And that's one of the things I realize now, but I didn't realize back then. So one of the things I realized is that healing yourself, working through your stuff, that's the solution to all of your life's problems, not money. Money, and as you work through stuff, you could be then attracting more money, and you can have a better, you can have a better relationships, you can have better health as you keep healing and letting go of all these fears and doubts and limiting beliefs and limiting ways of thinking, and my parents, it's like, oh, we can't afford this, we can't afford that. Oh, can I get these other nicer glasses? Can I get some new clothes? No, we can't afford it. We can't afford it. And so that was what was ingrained into my head, was we can't afford things. And I'm like, well, I remember reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And I remember, he had in there, don't say that you can't afford it or that you can afford it. Instead say, how can I afford it?
Right.
Right? How can I afford this, going to the movies anytime I want, or how can I afford designer clothes, or how can I afford the car that I want, or the house that I want, or how can I afford to put all my kids through college, or how can I afford it? So that's a good question, but even better than that is assuming that you can afford whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things I teach my kids, I never say, that's one of the things is if you don't want to spend money on something your kids want, it's easy to just use I can't afford it or we can't afford it as an excuse.
Right.
Oh, you know what? Sorry, we can't afford that. Well, you got to be careful with, convenient excuses. Like another good one that people have, well, I don't have the time.
Yes.
Well, I don't have the time to go help with that. Well, that may be true, or it may be a lie that you're using as an excuse to get yourself from having to do something you don't want to do. And so we got to be very careful with using these limitations as excuses instead of the truth. We have all the time in the world. We're swimming in oceans of abundance, right? But that doesn't mean that I want to go help you move next week, right? Here's $100 that you can go put towards hiring movers. I'm out of that phase where I'm going to like go help all my friends move. That's not how I want to spend my weekend. Right? I love my friends and I want them to be taken care of. Hell, I'll buy the pizza for everybody that you have come over to help move. Or maybe I would help move. I'm not saying not, but I'm just saying, like, don't use it as an excuse. Don't say I don't have enough time. Say, look, I've got some other things that, happening that day. I'm not gonna be able to help out, but I can help this way, right? I can help, help you. Here's the people who helped me move. They weren't that expensive. Like, I'll give you that connection, or I'll contribute to the beer fund or the pizza fund for all your movers that day. And same thing with money. Like, saying I can't afford it is not a great, and it's funny because I found myself wanting to say that a few times in the early, as my, kids were younger. And I was like, well, it's not true. Like, I have a lot of money. I can afford it. So what is more true?
Right.
Well, the truth is, like, I don't want to buy that for you. But if you want it bad enough, then ask this: how can I earn it?
Right.
How can I earn this? Or how can I either earn it directly or earn the money for it?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, if you really want it, then wash the dishes every day this week.
Yeah. What can you do? Take the initiative. Yeah. I mean,
right.
it's really great.
Week, you can have the thing that you want.
Mm-hmm.
I created this ridiculous point system a few years ago once we had 3 kids. They all want to sleep in the same room, which is totally fine. We have a 5-bedroom house. All 3 of our kids sleep in the same room, and but they want to sleep together, right? But then if one of them doesn't sleep, or if one of them's making noise, like, they can keep each other awake and all sorts of stuff. And so I started creating this, system where, like, I just, like, we go to the store, and I'd be like, all right, take a look at whatever you want. Tell me what you want. We're not going to buy anything today, but you tell me what you're most excited about getting. Taking pictures of all the toys they might want, right? I take pictures of it and then have them tell me, all right, which one do you want the most? Okay, great. If you guys do a great job of going to sleep every night, you'll get 2 bonus points. And once you get enough bonus points, you'll earn the thing that you want.
Mm-hmm.
And so this way, they'd be like, at nighttime, it's like, hey, you're going to get bonus points. And then if they're up really late, then they're going to get penalized and lose some of the bonus points they may already have. And at first I was trying to be a little more specific about it, but eventually it was just kind of like, an amorphous thing. And then eventually I get them, if they're doing a good job going, and now they go to sleep pretty great every night. So that's not a way that they can earn toys anymore, unfortunately, because now that their behavior is so good, we don't really do that anymore. But but if they want something, it's like, I never say we can't afford it. I say, how can we afford it? How can you afford it? Or how can you earn it?
Mm-hmm.
How bad do you want it? Right? If you want it really bad, like, here's what needs to happen.
Right. I think that's a really empowering, stance to take, because it gives the kids the opportunity to, take initiative, decide what they want, and figure out ways to make that happen.
Yeah. And something I'm not doing yet, but I've been thinking about, is, like, I want to be exercising more consistently, more regularly. And I've been going on hikes, but, like, unless I have somebody that I'm hiking with regularly, I'm just not going to go hiking, because I don't think it's not part of my routine yet.
Right.
And I was just thinking, maybe, I could hire a personal trainer, but I'm like, I'm not going to hire a personal trainer to go on a hike with me. But I just started thinking, like, what if I hired one of my kids to go on a hike with me 3 times a week and be my personal trainer to just make sure that I'm going hiking, which
hold you accountable.
It's ridiculous to pay my kids to go for a walk with me, but I've been thinking about doing it. I'm not sure if I'm going to or not, but I might try it. Like $5, if I hired a personal trainer, it might be like $50 an hour or $100 an hour or whatever. And I could hire my kid for for $5 an hour. And she'd be like, oh my God, like I got $5 for going on a walk. But I would have to try it out and see how it is. Cause I could be like, she could be like whining halfway through, like, oh, I don't want to keep, you know, and then it's like,
the $5 comes with conditions, right? It's like, you have to have fun. You can't whine.
Yeah. No whining. Yes.
No whining. Yeah. So what are you doing differently? I mean, we talked a little bit about the things that you are doing differently, but are there things that you're consciously doing differently when you're raising your girls as compared to how your kids raised you?
And my parents raised me?
Yeah, sorry. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, saying that we're rich is one thing, you know. We also do prayers of abundance a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll pray at a lot of times at mealtime we'll pray. And the prayers are almost always prayers of thanks. Thanks for what we have. And then if there's anything we want, we'll say a prayer in thanks of the thing that in advance, saying thanks in advance for getting the thing that we want. So we might all hold hands and then close our eyes and just be like, thank you, God. And some, you know, they join in and they'll say the prayers a lot of times too. And if I forget, a lot of times they'll remember, you know? Mm-hmm. So we'll all hold hands and close our eyes and then we're like, you know, thank you, God, for our amazing family. Thank you for all of our friends. Thank you for my team. Thank you for my clients. Thank you for thank you for our homes. You know, thank you for San Diego. Thank you for the sun. Thank you for all of the, you know, abundance in our lives. Thank you for all the love in our hearts. Thank you for all of the oceans and avalanches of abundance flowing into our lives in ever increasing amounts day after day. You know, thank you for helping me, you know, get 500 people at my next live event or whatever the thing might be that I'm aiming for. And yeah, you know, thank you. So
that's really beautiful.
And then I usually wrap up my prayer with thank you, 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 thank you. And I'll just say thank you for, and then, you know, I don't know the exact number, but I'll, you know, 10, 20.
Whatever feels right. Yes.
Sometimes 100 thank yous. You never know.
So do you think that, you know, by raising your kids this way, like, you know, I'm sure you see kids who are not raised this way. Like, do you see differences like in like their friends or that kind of stuff, like how you're raising your kids with this more abundant mindset versus kids who are just raised like the typical standard way, you know, we can't afford this, we can't afford that, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Well, you know, it can be stressful to have your kids constantly wanting things and you have to constantly be telling them, we can't afford it. We can't afford it. You know, it's like stressful to have to constantly be saying no. And, you know, certainly there's things my kids want that, well, I don't know if there's really anything that we can't afford now, but even 5 years ago, there probably were things my kids might want that we couldn't afford. Maybe they want a pony or something, you know, they want a mansion or whatever. I don't know. It's like, okay, maybe we can't afford some things, but not, you know, but constantly saying that to yourself, you're going to hypnotize yourself to keep creating that reality. So that's one part of it. Same thing if it's, I don't have enough time. I wish I could, but I can't. I don't have time. I can't. So if you say you don't have enough time, you say you don't have enough money, you're going to keep programming yourself and hypnotizing yourself to believe that's true, or even reinforcing the belief that you already may have about that it's true. And so you're going to keep manifesting what we believe, right? We're going to keep manifesting what we think. So I think we don't want to keep saying I can't afford it, even if you maybe, you know, literally can't afford it, whatever, don't have the money for it, right? We don't have the extra money for it right now would be even different than saying I can't afford it, but really letting people know that, hey, you know, I want you to get that, right? So there's the stress of, there's the brainwashing or hypnotizing yourself to keep believing that that we can't afford it. The other part is the frustration of feeling bad, like, oh, I wish I could do these things for my kids. And then the frustration that they're always asking, you know, I want this, I want that. So that stress is something that we don't have, right? We don't have the stress, not just because we have the money, but because we don't tell our kids that they can't afford it. It's not like we buy them everything they ever want, right? They've got to have to work for it. They've got to earn it, right? So they've got to ask, well, how can I earn this? If they want something bad enough, how can I earn it, right? And one of the most important things is like, I want my kids to earn things by, you know, sometimes it's through hard work, right? Cleaning, cleaning up the table after dinner, putting everything in the dishwasher, emptying the dish, those kind of things. Some of it's that kind of stuff. But, the things that are most important to me is that my family treats each other with love and kindness and respect, that they don't hit each other. I have 3 girls, but you'd be surprised at how much hitting, not now, because it's definitely there. But like Zoe, when she was younger, she would hit her older sister. Then when we had Lily, then Zoe would hit Lily. And then now Lily's the youngest, but she's really the only one that does any hitting. She like beats everybody up. She's the boss. Everybody calls her boss baby. She's 3. And she runs the house. So, but sometimes I'll just like surprise them with something, a toy, or take them to the store and just be like, hey, you guys have been doing such a great job of treating each other great. They're great sharing, great, caring for each other. Like, out of the grand scheme of things, to me, that's the most important thing. Treating each other with love, kindness, and respect. Of course, people are going to fight a little, have arguments, stuff like that. But I want to keep reinforcing that. So, and it doesn't have to be buying them some big expensive toy. Sometimes it could just be that, hey, here's a piece of candy. Here's a piece of gum. Kids like gum. It's like, oh my gosh, gum.
Sometimes the smallest things can make a big difference. It's
huge.
Yeah.
Huge. I mean, I remember when we only had one kid, and she was like 2 or 3 at the time, and it would be her birth. Maybe it was her 3. When she turned 2 or 3, and we had a birthday party, and everybody bought all these toys for her and stuff. And then she's spending half, more time playing with a big empty box than with the freaking toys that came in the box.
Yes.
So it's not all about money, either. There's a lot of ways that we can make. The best things in life are free. The best things in life. Think about this, like more important than giving your kids a toy is giving your kids time. Mm-hmm. And giving your kids quality time, not time where you're hanging out together, but you also have your phone and you're on Facebook and the internet, which I'm guilty of that. Not that it's guilty, but that happens when I'm hanging out with my kids sometimes too. But I also make sure to spend some time where I'm not on the phone, where we go to the park, we're playing in the pool or wherever we're doing. That's, specific quality time, taking them out on dates. And dates could be, I have 3 kids, so taking them out individually to the park, or, taking them out for ice cream or something where we're just hanging out and connecting, or playing games or doing whatever. So quality time and love is way more important than money. I mean, money's great too, but, and then having having the ability to have free time so that you can spend quality time with your kids is also, a huge luxury that I have and that I'm really grateful for, and something that we can all make time for, maybe not all, but pretty much. I think, you can set your life up so that you can have a lot more freedom and free time. It may not be that way for most people right now, but, and there's a lot of people who have big successful businesses like I do that feel like they have to work 60, 80 hours, 100 hours a week to keep things going. But I don't have that. My mindset is that we have all the time in the world. I mostly work part-time. So, we can set up our lives, we can design our lives to make it so that we have time abundance and financial abundance. The question is first knowing that's even a possibility, right? Most people don't even think that's a possibility. Number one, knowing that's a possibility, and then deciding that that's something you want. You want to have a life with financial abundance and time abundance.
Well, right? And that brings me to the whole knowing what you want kind of thing. Like when raising children, coaching clients, that kind of thing. I know that you have a system that you use to help set people up for success, whether it's your clients or whether it's, your kids, these are foundational pieces that people can use to help them achieve their goals, to help them create, the life that they want, and I really feel like from raising a child perspective, it's like, here you have this child, you're raising up, and then when they become adult, their whole life is ahead of them, and they can really figure out what they want to do and create that for themselves. And, a lot of people I know don't realize that they can actually create their own lives versus just allow life happen to them. So could you talk a little bit about your 5-step system to, help set people up for success?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So the 5-step, I think, is it rapid success system? Is it in the
Yes.
Abundance Unleashed?
Yes. In your book, your beautiful, wonderful book. Yes.
There it is. Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, if it's okay, let's just tell people, I'm going to give everybody here, if you want a copy of my book, you can get it for free
Yes.
at myabundancebook.com.
And we will post the link too.
Great. So this way, you can start taking on the most abundant mindset possible and create the most abundant life for yourself possible. So you have lots of freedom, free time, financial abundance, love abundance, abundance of everything.
Yeah. And I think too, parents, I would really love to see parents take this on because, we're the role models. And so, the kids are looking at us. I mean, they hear what we say, but they were really like looking at us and the things that we do and learning from our behaviors. And so, yeah, so tell us about.
Okay. Yeah. So in the book, I share the 5-step rapid success system. And step 1 is to clarify your vision and direction.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is it that you want? What would you like your life to be like? Like, if you could really have things be exactly the way you want them, what would you like them to be like? And, come up with ideas. What is it that you want? Like, create a vision board. For me, years ago, I created a vision board that had all these things on it: the kind of car I wanted, the kind of home I wanted, the kind of wife I wanted, the kind of life I wanted, a big pile of cash on my vision board, and like a $10,000 watch, And slowly over time, it took me about 3 years, but I got everything on my vision board except for the watch, because after about 3 years, I was like, I don't really want a watch. I don't wear watches anymore, so it doesn't make sense anymore. And that's what's going to happen as you clarify your vision and direction. You're going to get more and more clarity as you start achieving more of it and getting closer to it. Some of the things that you think you want right now, you might realize that aren't as important to you, or the reason you wanted them was for something else, and maybe you already got that something else. But having that vision is important, because if you don't have something you're aiming towards, you're going to end up, if you're not aiming towards something, then you could end up aimless, right? Mm-hmm. So you aim for what you want. And so that's step 1, clarify your vision and direction. Step 2 is strategize your actions. What do we need to do in order to make it the way that I want it, right? Some of this is going to be long-term goals that are going to take maybe 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. You never know. I remember years ago, I heard, if you want to be a millionaire, don't just dream to be a millionaire. Don't hope to be a millionaire. Decide to be a millionaire. Mm-hmm. I was like, okay, I'm going to decide, right? And then I thought, okay, I'll be a millionaire in a year. I'll be a millionaire in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. It probably took me 10 years before I became a millionaire from when I first heard that and decided. But at least it puts it on that, a little pinpoint on the map that your unconscious mind can be going towards, and your consciously can be taking action towards. But some things you can change your life immediately and start making it better, right? Maybe you don't like your job. You can find a job doing something you love. Or maybe you just don't have enough freedom and free time. Maybe you could just talk to your boss and be like, look, we need to set things up differently, right? Can I do 4 10-hour days so I can have 3-day weekends, right? Or can I just cut back and just, instead of working 40 hours, can I work 30, right? How can we set this up so that I have more, maybe the free time is more important than the money right now. Maybe you have young kids, you want to be able to spend time with them. You don't want to miss it because it does go fast.
Yes.
But get clear about what you want. Some things you can change right away, and some things are going to take time. But the clearer you are about what you want, and then you start strategizing your actions. How can I get the things that I want? What do I need to do this week? What do I need to do this month? What do I need to do over this next 90 days? What do I need to do today that's going to help me get those things? So you strategize your actions. Then you start looking at, what are some skills that I might need, right? What skills might you need in order to achieve those things, right? So for me, I'd started a business. I wanted to grow my business. I need to learn, first I needed to learn marketing skills, sales skills. Then eventually, as I started building a team, I needed to learn leadership skills, which is a never-ending thing. I'm getting better and better at leadership. And the more I realized how, the better I get at leadership, the more I realized how little I knew back then, and how how much more I still have to learn. But what skills do we need? Leadership skills. Maybe it's time management skills. Maybe it's persuasion skills, communication skills, public speaking skills, whatever they are, right? You just get clear on what are the skills that if I had, or if I develop, maybe you already have some of those skills, but you need to get better at them. What skills do I need to develop in order to make achieving those goals even easier, right? Because it's one thing to know what you want. It's another thing to have a plan, but you might have a plan where some of the things are going to be very challenging, right? You're going to need to maybe make some sales, or if you have your own business, you're going to need to make sales to your kid. You got to be able to sell your kids. You got to be able to motivate them, right? Help them want to go to sleep for their own good, right? Going to sleep is their persuasion skills, one of the most important, right? And I think about, like, to me, persuasion is getting people to do exactly what you want them to do for their own good, and getting them to want to do it, right? Like, so I know getting my kids, I want them to go to bed easily at a certain time, right? So that's, I'm clear about that. So that's exactly what I want them to do. And it's for their own good that they go to bed at a certain time consistently, most every night, and, get a good night's sleep. That's for their own good, right? But if I can't get them to want to do it, then I'm not persuading. So
Right.
that's the key. You got to get the people to do exactly what you want them to do for their own best interest, and getting them to want to do it. Get them to want to do what you want them to do. And so ultimately I shared how my kids are now going to sleep pretty great most every night now with the system that we had in place for a while, and that system became obsolete because they go to bed so well now. But what skills? What skills? So maybe it's persuasion, maybe it's influence, maybe it's time management, maybe it's leadership, whatever it is. But getting clear, what skills do you need to improve in order to make achieving all your goals faster and easier? Right. So that's the third step of the rapid success system. The fourth step is to optimize your environment. If you want to lose weight, it's going to be really hard to lose weight if you have, donuts and chocolate chip cookies and ice cream like all over your house. In fact, even if the difference between having it in your house but having it on the counter, right? If you have a plate of cookies sitting right on your kitchen counter, especially if you work from home, and you're gonna be walking by those cookies all day, or if you don't work from home but you're a stay-at-home mom or something, right? Like, you got to walk by those cookies, see them, want them, make a decision not to eat them like 100 times in a day as you walk by, right? That's so much harder than if it's in the pantry.
Right.
Now, even if it's in the pantry, that's not necessarily great. It's much better to just get all that crap out of the house.
Yeah.
So you can optimize your environment. Environment's like a very subtle thing. Like I had some family in town a few years ago, and we were going out to eat a lot and all kinds of stuff, which, I go out to eat a lot anyway, but we're going out to eat and I'm hanging out with them, and they're like, well, should I get this thing? Oh, we're on vacation. So because they're on vacation, that meant they could eat more dessert or eat more food or indulge more because, we're on vacation. I don't know where that idea came from, but the weight of that, the momentum, whatever, the gravity of all that, like, I got swept into the wake of it. And so I was eating more, whatever, and hey, but I'm not on vacation. It wasn't peer pressure necessarily, but it was influence, just
cookies.
Subtle influence just by being around people, because they were in my environment and I was in their environment. And so now I'm eating more indulgent, and they left, and now I weighed a few more pounds. And I was like, wow, but I wasn't, they were on vacation, but I wasn't, right? So, people around us influence us in subtle ways. Studies have shown, like, if you go out to eat with friends, you're much more likely to eat more food than if you go out to eat by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So some just lighting, right? If they lower the lighting, people will eat more than if it's really bright. Like, certain things cause people to eat more food. So all these things, the environment, it makes such an impact. And so I noticed, like, years ago, I was like, okay, if I want to lose weight, I could go on a diet, and that's okay to do. But if I have all this stuff, it's gonna be hard to stay on my diet. But if I get rid of, so you can optimize environment by subtraction or by addition. So you can get rid of all the stuff. So I got rid of all the stuff that was, all the chocolate and cookies and ice cream and all. I got cleaned out all that stuff out of my house. And then I replaced it with blueberries, strawberries, cucumbers. And then I have people on my team that I have an assistant that will, and you can, you know, whether you have an assistant or not, you can even buy stuff that's, you know, washed or chopped up. So chop up the cucumbers, chop up the strawberries. So it's just readily all the fruit and veggies, watermelon, all chopped up and ready to go. So that it's just like we remove the friction. So it's easier to eat the healthy stuff because it's already right there. It's already chopped up. All I have to do is reach in and eat it, versus if I want to eat the unhealthy stuff, I've got to go hop in the car, drive, and go get it.
Right.
So optimizing your environment. And the same thing, you know, when I was growing my business years ago, I noticed that I was procrastinating a lot and doing some stuff, and I would just watch TV because I worked from home. So I just watched TV, and I noticed I was watching a lot of TV. And so finally I was like, you know what? I'm getting rid of the TV.
Mm-hmm.
And so for, I think 10 years, we didn't have a TV. We had a TV in the house, but we only watched DVDs. So this was before Netflix had streaming and all that stuff.
Right.
But so we would go to Blockbuster. This was Blockbuster Video. We go to Blockbuster, and then eventually we did sign up for Netflix when it was just the DVDs in the mail thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would watch movies occasionally, but it's a lot different than, you know, to decide to watch a movie and then it's a finite amount of time versus like now with how Netflix is, where you can just binge watch, you know, seasons of shows. Yes. And just flip through. If you have DirecTV or cable or whatever, you can just be flipping through channels all day. So anyway, so I got rid of TV. We only watched things on DVD. We actually didn't even have a TV for like 6 months or even a year. We were just watching, like we would get a DVD and put it into the computer, watch it on our little laptop, and then eventually got a bigger TV and then would watch stuff there. So for about 10 years, I cleaned up my environment because I eliminated the biggest distraction, you know? And now, of course, the internet is a big distraction. So even if you don't have TV, in fact, for most people, the internet is, whether it's your phone or your laptop, but most things are a much bigger distraction. It's hard to even get away from all those distractions now. Yes. But, you know, figure out what can you do to optimize your environment for yourself from distraction or whatever might be the case, whether it's something you want to get thinner, be more productive, start a business, whatever. Like, just look for ways that you can optimize your environment to make your behavior, to make the things that are bad for you hard to do, and the things that are good for you easy to do. Yes. So the more you can do that, the easier success becomes. Right. You don't need as much discipline anymore. It takes a lot of discipline and willpower to go, I don't want to eat that chocolate chip cookie.
Yeah, it's a lot of energy.
I don't want to eat that chocolate. But even though you do want to eat it, right? And then you're like, oh, and then finally, all right, I'll just have one. And then one leads to two, and then two leads to the whole plate, you know, and then the plate leads to opening the whole, you know, going back and eating the cookie dough.
Yeah, you know, you're going to eat the whole thing. Sooner or later, that whole entire thing is going down the gullet.
I mean, eventually, they're all at once or over time, but.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sooner or later, it's going down.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the fourth step. And then the fifth step is to master your psychology. Master your mindset, because that's actually, you know, I believe more than 90% of success is our mindset. And we have to be clear about what we want. We have to believe that we can actually have it, right? We have to believe we're worthy of it. This is one of the interesting things that, you know, 70% of people are actually afraid to even get the thing they want.
Interesting.
Right? And it's 70% of people, it's probably 100% of people are afraid of 70% of the things they want. It's probably more true that way. Like 70% of the things that we want we're probably afraid to have. But, you know, and the reason I know it's around 70% is because I'll ask my audience to think about the things they most want. And I have them imagine what, you know, if they had exactly what they want and they could have it quickly and easily. So even get rid of like any of the pain of achieving it. And I just have them imagine having it. 70% of the people in the audience on any one given thing that they want, I'll have them think about what it feels like to have the thing they want. And almost 100% of the people will feel good about getting the thing they want. But 70% of the time, there's some mixed feelings where they feel good and it's exciting. Oh my gosh, I could be rich, it'd be great, it'd feel good. But then, ooh, what's this like weird angsty something going on here, right? And what is that weird angsty thing? Well, if it's about being rich, it's like, well, people might judge me and they're going to think I'm a jerk, or that that I was mean to people, that I'm arrogant, that because the only way people become rich is by hurting people or taking advantage of people. And so that the people are going to think I must have done that. And the truth is that the way to become rich, the best way to become rich, is to enrich the lives of lots of other people.
Right.
Enrich the lives of other people. That's the best way to become rich. And that's the way most people become rich. Some people get rich by stealing from people, right? Some people get rich by running scams. But the vast majority of people who become rich, it's because they enrich the lives of other people. But so they have these fears like, oh my gosh, people are going to think that if I'm rich, they're going to judge me. Or if I'm rich, then I'm going to have family members coming out of the woodwork asking me for money. I'm going to have all these uncomfortable conversations. Or if I'm rich, I'm not going to be safe because people are going to try to kidnap me and take my money because I watched, Taken the other day, or I watched, whatever shows where that happens. Or forget about money. Maybe you want to be in a great relationship, right? Oh God, yes, I would love to be in a great relationship. It'd be so amazing. But what if they leave me? I don't want to have my heart broken, right? So we have this approach avoidance, these mixed feelings. We want something, but we're afraid to have it. We've been afraid to be thin. Like, oh my gosh, if I was thin, then somehow, people might judge me for that. They think I'm, all about appearances, and they won't know that I'm actually, have all this depth inside. Or who knows what people, we have all these, here's the scoop. Every human being on earth is crazy. We think that there's sane people and crazy people, but it's not true. There's only crazy people. Now, some people are more crazy than others, but we're all crazy. And so all those mixed feelings about oh, I want to be in a relationship, but I'm afraid to have my heart broken. I want to have money, but I don't want to be judged. Or we have the fears about doing the things that are going to get us the things, right? Maybe we don't have any fear about getting into a relationship. It's like, I'd rather find love and have my heart broken 100 times, but to be able to actually feel the feelings of love, I'm willing to go for it. But the fear of rejection might be, right? Like, oh, if I go talk to somebody that I want to have a relationship with, that might be scary, right? Or I want to have my own business and make a lot of money, but I'm afraid that if I start up my business and I put invest some money into it, that it might fail and I'll lose the money, and then people will judge me for failing, and I should just better off play it safe, right? And most people don't think this logically out loud, but this is all happening behind the scenes. And so, we need to be able to become aware of these things and then resolve them. And that's one of the things we talk about. Actually, two powerful things that are in the book, Abundance Unleashed. One is we have these abundance assessments, so people can assess where some of these buttons might be, where some of this, crazy stuff might be, where, people can measure themselves on a continuum of abundance, from being super abundant in love, health, wealth, even time abundance, or being, in a scarcity mindset in a bunch of different areas. So we mapped out different places within, the concept of time, money, love, and health, and to see where, you can see where you're abundant and where maybe you need to work on yourself. And obviously you can think about the things you want and notice if some of those things push your buttons, or think about the actions you might need to take and see if some of those things might need to push your button. Some of those things might push your buttons. If somebody crawling around back here, somebody on my team got in the video. I don't know if you saw her back there.
Yeah, I saw.
It's okay. She's just trying not to be in the video, but
Yes, it was a good attempt.
I just wanted to mention it just because if people are watching and they're like, oh,
who's that person sneaking around in the back?
The person who wanted to kidnap me, they're coming for me right now.
Oh no.
Yeah. So anyway, if you want to work through all those things, then there's some great techniques that I talk about in the book. One of them is called the peace process. Mm-hmm. And so what most people do when they feel uncomfortable things is they try to suppress those feelings. They try to push them down. And, but instead the peace process works. And so we, it's natural. We're biologically hardwired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. That's how we survive as human beings, right? Eat food, tastes good. Pain, fire hot, painful, be careful, don't walk, don't roll around in a fire, right? Saber-toothed tiger, watch out for tigers. So the seeking pleasure and avoiding pain, even sex, is like that. Not only is good for us physiologically as human beings, but that's what keeps the whole species alive, right?
Right.
So all that pleasure and pain, we're biologically hardwired for that. But we apply that to emotions, and it causes problems. We feel some emotional pain, we're like, oh, I don't want to do that anymore. So we try to avoid certain things, avoid certain people, avoid certain situations. And ultimately, we're trying to avoid certain feelings.
Yeah, and plus society encourages, especially boys, not to feel those feelings.
Yes. Oh my gosh, you're crying. Yeah, even boys and girls. It's like,
oh yeah,
your distress causes me distress, so you stop crying. And I think
tight.
Thank you. Sorry about that. So it's like, oh, I don't want you to be upset, so you stop having your tantrum because it's making me feel uncomfortable, But I did the best I can to encourage feel those feelings, have that tantrum, right? Maybe not on the floor in the store, right? But maybe, right? If I have time that I could just let them tantrum away, have your tantrum. But so instead of trying to suppress our feelings, so when we suppress the feelings, then it all ends up, they become hot buttons, and we often will attract people and situations into our lives that are going to keep pushing those buttons,
yes,
right, in bigger and bigger ways, because those feelings need to get felt. So instead, if we actually find where the feeling is in our body, right, it's like, okay, I feel angry. Where's that anger? Okay, feel it right here. All right, so then you be present to the anger, right? It can be anywhere in your body. It's usually somewhere along the chakra line, but it could be.
Like a lot of people will feel like tightness in their throat. That's a real easy one that a lot of people feel.
Yeah, in your stomach, in your heart,
yes,
in your head. I mean, it could be anywhere. Some people feel things sometimes in their hands, sometimes in their legs, sometimes your whole body, right? But even if it is in your whole body, maybe there's one spot that's most intense. So you look for that, and you just be present to it. And it's like, if you've ever seen an oil candle, you've got the flame, and then you got some oil in there. And our feelings are like that, is that our presence is the flame, and the emotions are the oil. And if you stay present to the emotion, especially if the physical sensations of the emotion, if you stay present to it, then it will burn itself out. Now, you never know how long it's going to take, but eventually it'll burn itself out, and then it'll be completely resolved. And you won't have that hot button anymore. So if that thing that pushed your buttons and made you angry, you could think about the same thing, no anger. And if you had a proclivity to attract a lot of situations that made you angry in the past, those same situations won't make you angry anymore, and you'll probably be unlikely to even attract those kind of situations to you anymore anyway. And people who maybe make a lot of people angry, they might still go make all those other people angry, but when they are in your presence, they won't be doing the things that they used to do that would make you angry anymore. Like, when you change on the inside, the world changes.
Right.
That's why this is so powerful. And this is why it's so powerful to master your psychology, to help you get all the things that you want.
Right.
And that's the 5 steps of the rapid success.
Cool. Thank you so much. And so, and can you teach kids the peace process too?
Yes, you can. I feel like my wife probably started teaching it to my daughters a little earlier than I would have. I would have probably waited till they were 6 or 7 or 8 maybe. But my wife was teaching Nala maybe when she was 3 or 4. She was teaching Nala to find the feeling in your body. Just, hey, be present to it. Don't try to make it go away. That kind of thing. And it has, it's way more effective with yourself and with clients and with, adults who, although sometimes with adults it can be tough if they are so used to not feeling feelings. They maybe have a hard time finding where it is in their body, or, they just don't want to feel it. They're not willing to, or whatever. So sometimes maybe kids are more willing because you're the parent and they want to listen to you or whatever. But I don't know what the exact right age is, but what I recommend everybody do is learn it, practice it, have some success with it, have a good track record of your own, and then if it feels called to try it with your kids, then try it. You know, yeah.
And that could be a very powerful tool for parents too, when your buttons get pushed during
Oh my
parenting,
God.
to like stop
Yeah.
and be like, okay, I need to peace process this a little bit just so I can
Yeah.
deal with
Yes.
my kid.
100%. It's great for you as a parent, and it's great for your kids. And somebody just posted, I don't know if you saw this post. I don't know if I have it, how handy I have it. I'm going to see if I can pull it up really quick here. But someone just did it with their kid. Let's see if I saved it. Oh, here, is this it? Okay, no, this is somebody else doing a peace process on themselves. That one's good. But yeah, anyway, somebody did it with their kid, and their kid got to peace, and their kid was, I'm trying to remember the exact situation, but actually their kid was it wasn't a young kid. It was, I don't know how old he was, maybe like 16, 17. He's in high school, and he was going on his first job interview, and he was feeling really nervous. And so he worked through his nervousness, got to peace, and then went on the interview and just felt so comfortable. And he was like, and so he told his mom told me that he was just so grateful to actually have something that could just shift things like that, to be able to, I mean, I've had people who, well, actually, we did the peace process together, and you used to have a fear of public speaking, right?
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, so we did the peace process and resolved it, and we tested it right on the spot because we were at an event. You were up on stage.
Yeah.
And so, if people think these things that they've had with them all their life, it's just who they are, it's like, oh, I'm afraid of going on an airplane. I'm afraid of heights. I'm afraid of whatever. I believe all fears are resolvable using these techniques, and that peace is inevitable. You can get to peace on anything. And I used to have a fear of heights, and that one took me a while. I had to work on that a lot for a while, but most things are resolvable fairly quick using the peace process, even if you've had it for your whole life.
Right. Yeah.
So, powerful tool.
Yeah. I mean, I've known you for a few years, and I've have the opportunity to watch you go from afraid of heights to not being afraid of heights anymore. And yeah, I mean, it's amazing. So congratulations. I know that was a big one for you.
That one, it was one of those ones where I was just like, it works so well on all those other things, but there's this one thing it's just not working well on. Maybe it doesn't work. Maybe I'm broken. I was like, maybe I just can't fix it. Maybe something happened to me. I don't know, but eventually, if you work it enough, if you do it enough, then it will resolve.
Mm-hmm.
But very, very few things have taken me that much work to resolve it. Most things happen in a matter of minutes. Maybe a few minutes, maybe an hour and a half or whatever, but maybe 5 minutes, whatever the amount of time. But ultimately, it's worth the investment. It's worth the time investment to do it, because once you resolve it, it's resolved forever. And, you have a lifetime of the rest of your life, you have of freedom from something that may have been, getting in the way your entire life. So.
Yeah, well, and look at me. It's like I was very uncomfortable on stage, and now I'm doing a video interview series. Like a few years ago, I never would have considered that. So
yeah,
so thank you. I'm grateful for all the things that you've brought into my life too. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you have two tools. So the first one is the peace process, and what's the second one?
The other one is called Instant Miracle. And it's an energy healing technique, which, for the sake of time, I probably won't really tell the stories about that and how that works and whatnot. But it's super fast, so that's why it's called Instant Miracle. And it's been powerful. It's been, I've seen it. I've used it for myself and for clients and people at my live events, and people have gotten healed instantly from, all kinds of the inner stuff that we talk about. Fear of being successful, fear of heights, fear of whatever. So it's great for working on inner game stuff. But this technique's also been really good at helping people heal physical things. Like there's people who used to need hearing aids, not needing hearing aids. People who needed glasses, not needing glasses. People with arthritis being pain-free. People with lifelong migraines, fibromyalgia, being free of all those things. And so, yeah, it's really amazing technique. And if you want to, if people want to learn more about it, I would recommend they check out the book. And people can buy the book themselves if they want on Amazon. They can just go to Amazon, Amazon.com or wherever. And it'll get it faster. If you want to get the book right away, you get it on Amazon because they'll ship it to you immediately. But if you want to get it for free, just help us cover the shipping. And you can get it at myabundancebook.com. And we're doing that as a gift for your peeps.
Nice. Thank you. Yeah. And it's well worth reading and going through. And actually, I have to be honest, I didn't actually read the book. I instead got the audiobook version and I listened to it.
Nice.
It was great. Yes.
That's great. Well, I remembered recording the audio version and going into the studio for it. So it's
So one other thing I wanted to, I know we're closing in on our hour here. One thing I wanted to have you just touch on is, we were talking about setting kids up for success, but I want to talk about failure too. Can you share your thoughts about failure?
Yeah. Failure is the greatest thing. It's one of the greatest things in life. It's like, oh, I can't wait to fail some more. Okay, maybe not, right? Most people don't feel that way, and I don't really want to fail more. But I believe success is inevitable. So, right? Whatever goals you have, you want to be a millionaire, you want to be in a great relationship, you want to be in great shape, whatever it is that you want, success is inevitable. If you're willing to do the work, and you need to do the work like in the world, right? You got to go to the gym. If you want to get in great shape, you might need to go to the gym, or maybe you don't have to go to the gym, right? There's a lot of ways to get exercise that aren't going to the gym. You could go play basketball or go for hikes or whatever, right? But you got to go do something. And you got to do the inner work. You got to do the inner work. So if you're willing to do the work, then success is inevitable. The only mystery is time. How long is it going to take to succeed? Who frickin' knows? I don't know. When it took me many years to grow my coaching business, and one of the biggest challenges was my, poverty mindset. I started off charging really low fees. I started helping other coaches grow their business, and I've had people grow their business so fast. And partly because they charge so much more. It's easier to make a lot of money if you charge more. But for me, my low fees felt like, oh my God, how could I possibly ask anybody to invest that much money? Just because my whole thinking about money was so different. But I believe success is inevitable if you're willing to do the work. And some of the work is rolling up the sleeves and getting out there and doing this stuff. And some of the work is working on our inner stuff. Some of it, letting go of the fears, the doubts, the limiting beliefs, the poverty mindset, all that stuff. But success is inevitable, but so is failure. In fact, failures are the bricks that pave the way to success. It's impossible to get really good at something without failing, right? What if you wanted to be really great at basketball, but the idea of missing a shot would oh my God, if I miss a shot, it's like the end of the world. Well, then you're never going to take any shots because you're too afraid to miss them. And then if you do take a shot, there's a good chance you will miss because you're not taking a lot of shots. You want to get really good, you got to be willing to take lots of shots. And then of course you're going to miss a lot, right? Who do you think's missed more shots and more basketball shots, me or Michael Jordan?
Probably Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan's missed way more shots than I have by probably, at least 1,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 times more shots he's missed than I have, right? So, a lot of people would be like, oh my God, he's such a loser. That Michael Jordan, he just missed so many damn shots, right? But he's one of the greatest many people think he's the greatest basketball player of all time, definitely one of the greatest basketball players of all time. And I remember there was some commercial, I don't know if it was shoes or Gatorade or what, but he talked about I've missed this many, game-winning. I've been trusted to take this many game-winning shots and failed this many times. I've done all these things. It's I failed and failed and failed again, and that is why I succeed. And that's so true, right? I haven't taken. Well, I don't play basketball. I haven't played basketball in several years now, but I've never played it. It certainly wasn't professional. Never I like it, but I'm never So but if you want to get really good at something, you got to be willing to mess up. You got to be willing to make mistakes. If you want to make millions, you have to mistake your way to millions, right? Nobody just wakes up and comes up with a good idea and then it takes off and they make lots of money without also having a lot of things go wrong,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or having a lot of experience when things that didn't go right before they did the thing that all of a sudden took off, you know? That we hear about overnight success, you know, that are 10 years in the making or decades in the making,
Yes.
right? It seems like, oh my gosh, they just had so much success so fast. But a lot of it is, you know, they're doing a lot of the work,
Mm-hmm.
and you've got to be willing to fail. Most people, you know, most people aren't willing to fail at all, right? The biggest failure of all, I think, is never even going after your dreams. Like never even starting. That's the biggest failure.
That's the saddest part. Yeah.
The second biggest failure that people can have is to give up,
Mm-hmm.
right? They give up on their dream. Oh, it's too hard. And usually, you know, it's maybe if people are even willing to go for their dream, right? That's a big if. But if they are, then maybe most people can have like 3 failures and then they give up completely. But success is inevitable. The only mystery is time. If you're willing to do the work, you gotta fail, you gotta fall flat on your face, you're gonna get rejected, you're gonna get criticized, people are not gonna like it, you're gonna have success, and then some people aren't gonna like that you're successful, and they're gonna feel jealous, they're gonna be afraid that you're gonna leave them, they're gonna try to keep you small because they feel like if you get too big and successful that somehow you're not gonna wanna be friends with them anymore or wanna be in a relationship with them. Like all that stuff that's gonna happen, you gotta be willing to face all those things in order to have, if you want the ultimate greatest lifestyle for yourself and to be the ultimate greatest version of yourself and to be the ultimate greatest role model for your kids by being the best version of yourself and living the best version of your life. If you want that, then you've got to be willing to fail. You've got to be willing to be rejected. You've got to be willing to do the things. If you're willing to do the hard things in life, then your life's going to be much easier.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're always trying to do the easy things in life, then your life is going to be a lot harder. If you're willing to suffer, you'll suffer less. But if you're not willing to suffer and you're not willing to feel your feelings, then you're going to keep suffering more because those feelings are going to be bubbling beneath the surface, or even hot buttons get pushed all the time that make you go crazy, but you don't end up resolving it, you know, or healing it and, you know, and getting through it. So if you want a great life, the recipe for an amazing life is, you know, getting really clear about what you want and then going for it with, you know, everything you got until you get everything you want.
Yeah.
And then even getting everything you want, like you think, okay, if I just had everything I want, well, guess what? I have everything I want. I have everything beyond everything I ever wanted. And there's still days where things push my buttons or, you know, things, and then, you know, this is true happiness comes from within.
Yes.
And working on yourself and healing yourself means that you're able to be happy now as you create the life of your dreams, as you set things up so that you can work as much or as little as you want, doing only the things that you absolutely love to do, you know, and making a great amount of money and having great friends and relationships and love in your life, and great health, and all the things that you want are available to you. Just get clear on what you want and make it happen. I believe success is inevitable, and I believe that you're infinitely powerful. You can be, and do anything that you want.
Yeah, and what a great way to live your life, to be an example for your kids.
And I believe your kids are infinitely powerful too, and they can be, and do everything they want. That doesn't mean we're great at everything. Being infinitely powerful doesn't mean you're, you know, amazing at everything that you do, right? Like, I got fired from many jobs because I was really bad at, you know, simple things like counting and reading quickly, right? But I'm actually really good at other things. I'm good at teaching. I'm good at inspiring. I'm good at coaching, right? And I eventually got good at sales and marketing and all those things and leadership. Find out what your strengths are. Find out what you love to do, and find out what your passions are, and go after those. And you can have everything that you want.
Yes.
You know, life can be. There's no limit to how amazing your life can be.
That's really true. And like I said, you know, and you can use all these things to set your kids up to create the most amazing life too. And the beautiful thing about kids is, like, once they get through school and all that, it's like they have a clean slate. They get to figure out what they want. And so supporting your kids.
Hopefully they even figure it out as they're going through school.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, and you have the opportunity to help encourage, you know, them to explore different interests and help identify those things that they are most passionate about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Christian. I really appreciate your time. I know we've talked a little bit about the free gift that you're offering to everybody, a copy of your book, and I'll provide the link and they can go and then they just pay for shipping, correct? To get the
Yep,
book?
yep. Myabundancebook.com, and you can get a free copy of Abundance Unleashed. Just cover shipping, and yeah, we'll ship it out to you.
Okay, cool. And then an upgrade package, you also offered a program about the Instant Miracle. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about that?
Yes, it's called the Instant Miracle Abundance Program. And basically, it's the recordings, highly edited recordings of one of my Instant Miracle live events where I do the Instant Miracle for people on all different areas of their life to help heal the things that are keeping them from having massive abundance in their lives. So, we do the peace process and Instant Miracle to help them release, fears and stuff about money, about health, about relationships and love, about time, about success. So it's 3 days of live event, and it's a $2,000 program, and we're going to give that to everybody who decides to upgrade and get the recordings or whatever, you get your package.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much for that. I know it's going to be really beneficial for everybody who decides to go for that. And the book is amazing. I encourage everybody to pick up a copy of it. There's questions I wanted to ask Christian that we just didn't have time to get to, that you'll find information about in here. Like creating healthy relationships was one area that I would have loved to go, but we're running out of time. So thank you so much, Christian. I'm really grateful for your time that you spent with us today.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you so much. I want to thank you for joining us today. And tomorrow I have an extra special surprise coming up for you. We have a few extra speakers. I was originally going to have 20 speakers, but I've added a few extra. And so tomorrow we're going to have Ariel Ford, and she's going to be talking all about relationships, love, and the soulmate connection. Now, she didn't really feel comfortable advising parents because she is not a parent herself, but all of the things that she's talking about can be applied to relationships with your children, and also is information that you can turn around and give to your kids so that they can have healthy, fulfilling relationships too as they get older. So I'm really looking forward to that tomorrow. So be sure to join us for that. And remember, the interviews are available for 48 hours for your listening pleasure. And after that, they become part of the upgrade package. And if you're interested in owning the recordings, adding them to your own personal library, you can visit our upgrade page. We have links on the website and in the emails. And you can purchase the upgrade package, download all of the recordings, and then you'll also get some bonuses that some of our speakers have donated to the upgrade package. So some really cool stuff, and I hope that you'll consider adding these interviews to your library. They've just been really amazing, and I know that you'll want to listen to them a few times just to really get like all of that really great information out of them. So looking forward till tomorrow. Talk to you then. Bye-bye.